Oh, wow, we're starting.
Yeah.
Hi.
I just got to get into it.
You do. We're just jumping right into the water today.
Look alive.
Okay.
Paul.
I'm going to try my best.
Okay. That's Emily Paul. I'm Kim Tweedy. You know the deal. Let's do this.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding.
Welcome to Confidently Controversial, the podcast that you know and love. We're happy that you're here.
Yeah, specifically you.
You specifically. And, I'm just going to say it from the top. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet, do it right now.
Yeah.
Especially if this is the first episode. Do it right now before you listen any further and decide you don't want to. Just go ahead and do it.
Please.
But anyway, okay, that's done. We're done with that part.
No more groveling.
No more groveling. How are you?
I'm good. It's the Olympics, Emily.
Woo!
I was thinking about other things we should talk about, but it's really, I'm not an Olympics person, and it's all I can think about because I need this in my soul.
I think that this Olympics right now it feels different. I feel like everyone's more into it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we need it.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, no, I'm ready for it.
Right.
Let's do this thing.
Right. And I follow Snoop wherever he goes.
Yeah. If Snoop's into it, if Snoop's in, I'm in. That's been my life mantra.
It really has, guys.
Really, that's how I live my life. Right. What would Snoop do?
Like a D-O-double-G.
That's correct. Yeah, by the time people are listening to this, I think the Olympics will be over.
Yeah, probably, but still, I'm talking about it.
We're in the past.
Yeah, because I want to talk about one big thing that I think about, and I think that the way modern TV has kind of ruined the Olympics a little bit.
But I think it's back. They figured it out for this one.
You do?
I do, because I watched the Olympics on Peacock, and it's they have this Olympic hub. They have a whole thing on the side that's the Olympic rings, and you push on it and you can find, if you say I'm interested in weightlifting, I can go to that sport. And it's well, this will be this day.
Well, you are.
That's true. But yeah, my husband will not be peeled away from the TV. He has just been watching it constantly.
See, here's my problem with it. So years ago, even if it, when we were kids, and then also up till pretty recently, even if the Olympics were far away and in a different time zone, and was happening at a time that we were snoozing,
sure,
they still had a prime time showing of the Olympics. So everyone in America watched Michael Phelps win his gold medal together. Mm-hmm. We watched Carrie Strug fall on her ankle, sure, and then do the thing together. Now it's all over the place, and gymnastics is on right now in the morning. Mm-hmm. And so if Simone Biles did something amazing, mm-hmm, we wouldn't all be watching it together. And then all day long it's going to be on social media. And then tonight, even if they do show it, we're not coming together to watch that moment.
Well, Kim, I hate to tell you this, but that time has passed. Yeah. I think the best you can hope for is the fact that we're all rallied around a thing. We might not watch it at the same time, but we'll all get to it.
We all agree.
And we're either going to watch it in clips on social media, we're going to watch it, we're just going to read an article about it on our phone, or we're going to watch the thing on TV.
Right.
But I think the way that that's the best you can hope for today. And the fact that we're all just rallied around it is
just enough. That's enough for you.
That's enough. That's all we can hope for. Because I feel in the last Olympics, I had a hard time even watching any of it because it was, we haven't really had cable.
Right.
And it's just it was hard to find it. I'm glad that they kind of figured it out.
Okay.
How to do it. And I have been appreciative of that. But yeah, I love the Olympics. I always have. And this one's been a pretty good one.
What if someone called you and was just Emily, we need you. The Olympics need you.
Holy crow. Okay.
You have to do a sport.
Okay.
You can choose. It can't be basketball.
I don't want to play basketball.
Okay.
Okay. I have to get in there.
You have to get in there and go.
Okay. Today?
Yeah.
A sport that I wouldn't necessarily be completely embarrassed myself at. I think that I could, obviously I run, but I'm not at the level of these people that are out there running.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think that I could do it.
What do you think you could have some luck in?
Oh. I don't know. Give me a shot put and a dream.
Okay. Sure.
I think, what's the one that you swing around and throw? I could try that.
Swing around and throw. Like the hammer jaw.
Yeah, I'll do the hammer, John. Give me the rifle. What's that? Rifle?
Oh yeah,
I'll do that.
That's an interesting thing to me, where they have to like go through like a course and then they have to just like stop and shoot.
Yeah, that's great.
Did you know breakdancing is in the Olympics, or breaking is in the Olympics this year?
I know. Skateboarding, breaking, surfing, all the cool kids are doing the Olympics. Maybe that's why everyone's into it now. It's like there's a bunch of hotties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we were kind of talking during the opening ceremonies, and I could not get over the beauty of these athletes.
I mean, they are all like extremely fit and just, they're healthy. They're taking care of themselves. They're hydrated.
Right.
Like they're not smoking cigarettes and drinking booze on the weekends. They're like doing the thing.
Yeah. Some of them are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Are you still not allowed to like smoke pot in the Olympics?
I mean, they have skateboarders.
So what? Don't stereotype the skateboarders. Last time it was one of the runner ladies that got in trouble for smoking the pot.
Yeah, they probably don't. I think you have to be pretty
clean,
pristine to do these things.
But they do have 300,000 condoms on hand at the Olympics just in case.
There's lots of, there's a lot of young, fit people hanging out in that Olympic Village.
Yeah, what a time.
Let's go make some Olympic babies.
This is the best time of someone's life right now.
Oh, I know. No, the best is someone whose event is like this week.
Yeah.
And then they just like all the stress
is done.
They've
But they probably have to go home.
Would they? Or can't they hang out?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like that should be part of it. They should be able to be there from beginning to end.
Well, I know some of
them.
Because
then otherwise, people hang out for the closing ceremonies.
Yeah,
I guess.
it's
an event. You
Sure.
stay for the event.
I know that some people couldn't go to the opening ceremonies because they had to play the next day.
Yeah, that
sad. Sucks.
I know. I like the opening ceremonies, like on the boats and everything. I thought it was very cool.
Okay.
I was into it. I like anything where someone's thought about it and they've put together a good show.
I was thinking about how, like, you have the Olympics, which are the, the highest level an athlete can achieve.
Sure.
And then you have the
amateur athlete.
Oh,
sure. But anyway, in some sports, you're not getting any higher. If your game is water polo or synchronized swimming, like,
right. Where are you going to go from here? Yeah. And then LeBron James is there. He's a professional athlete.
It's true. Yeah, okay. I think they changed the rules with some of that. But
what I was saying is, so highest level an athlete can be at, and then you have this opening ceremony. It's just like the peak of artistic ability. Well, coming together.
Do you know that because I've been listening to what's his name? He's the economist. He's kind of famous. He has a podcast called Revisionist History with Malcolm Gladwell. And his whole the whole season is about the Olympics when it was in Berlin when Hitler was. So interesting. Highly recommended if you guys are listening. Listen to this podcast for sure. First. But then if you want something like really educational and interesting, go listen to this season of Malcolm Gladwell's podcast. But they, what I learned from listening to that is that in the early Olympics or the modern Olympics, as they're, when they've come back into whatever, art and literature were a part of it. And they read a poem that won the Olympic gold medal for poetry.
Stop.
And it was terrible. Like they read it in the thing. But yeah, that people would win for all these other things because they wanted to have this this is peak human is the Olympics.
I like that.
But they peeled that off because they were like, well, this poem is terrible and these people shouldn't be judging poems.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Well, there's like that artistic gymnastics where people like dance with ribbons.
Dances.
Yeah.
I'm a rhythm dancer.
No, rhythm is a dancer.
But I imagine if I was a ribbon dancer, I would still sing that song.
Now, is that the one, like, if they were like, Kim, you got to get in there, you got to do something. Is that what you would do? Ribbon dancing?
It would probably be some sort of ribbon dancing or, I don't know. I can't hold my breath that long, but I would say like synchronized swimming, but all above water.
Well, yeah. You were in, this begs the question. Kim famously was in Guard.
Color Guard,
which is with the flags and the rifles and the dancing. Why isn't that in the Olympics? I feel like that would be a great. How is synchronized swimming
Right. Yeah.
any different from I'm synchronized. And if there's athleticism, there's dance, there's, it's a team.
I was a peak athlete.
I guess it would be hard. You'd have to give that many people gold medals. Because usually those guards,
I don't think
there's
that's
a lot of people. I think that's it's
So like,
expensive.
we just don't have enough gold medals.
Well, it's expensive.
They give the basketball team all gold medals.
There's not that many people on a basketball team as compared to a color guard.
It depends.
No, it doesn't depend.
I mean, a color guard depends. The basketball team, I understand it's a set number.
Yeah, like you only need 5 people on the court at a time.
Yeah, but they have more than that.
They do, but like
They all win-
need,
they
like,
all win
5
medals.
times as many people to be on a basketball team.
So really quickly too, I just wanted to touch on the Flava Flav connection and the Snoop Dogg connection to the Olympics.
Okay, what about it?
So Flava Flav, he's
Back from the grave.
So he's sponsoring the women's polo team, water polo team.
I mean, he's fully like, I'm going to make water polo a thing like after these
I
Olympics are
know.
over, and I support him.
Okay. But also I think it's so funny because we have a girl that works with us who is, she's very young. She's in her early 20s. And she comes and takes care of my husband's mother. And I was like, do you know who Flava Flav is?
Yeah.
She did not.
Oh, yeah.
And so trying to explain to someone what a Flava Flav is.
It's so funny you say that because last night we were watching water polo with my kids, and of course Flavor Flav was there. So my husband and I were explaining to my kids who he was,
Right.
and like why, what his greatness is,
Right.
and why he is who he is. And my kids were very confused by the.
Well, then
whole
you got to
thing.
get into the clocks, and then you got to get into the flavor of love.
We didn't
and
touch
the
on
surreal life.
We did not touch on Flavor of Love. My husband was saying how he really is legit, like he's kind of like this personality. He's like, but he is actually like a really good rapper. Like,
Right,
he was
yeah.
really good.
But
at that
also,
stuff.
we saw him, like, we were trying to explain to her about him, and then all of a sudden he was on the TV and he was going, yeah, boy. And I was like, that's him. That's Flava Flav.
He's very famous and we love him.
Right, he says that a lot.
Well, my kids know who Snoop Dogg is, and my daughter's just like, he's just the best. Like, he
He's
just
the
talks in this like
best.
special. She's like, does anyone else like talk like him or like? And I'm like, probably, but he's Snoop, and we
I love that
him.
I love that he's fully involved in the Olympics.
He's fully in.
I just appreciate it so much.
He's pure. He's
Yeah.
a national treasure.
He
All
really
of these
is.
people are national
Yeah.
treasures, and I'm glad that they're all there supporting the Olympics. So go
Yeah.
team. Go Team USA. I hope you brought home lots. By the time our audience is listening to this, I hope we've counted up all the medals and USA dominated.
And I hope there was that one moment where we were all watching together and we were all excited and we came together as a nation.
It didn't happen.
I know. All right.
Okay.
Well, so
Okay.
did we talk about the Olympics enough?
I mean, I think so.
Do you want to talk about anything else?
No, but I do have to preface this podcast by saying I'm very tired today, so I
Okay.
might just hand the reins over to you and let you do the whole thing. The rest of it. I've talked about the Olympics, and I'm going to go take a nap.
No,
Okay.
let's talk about the movie. Once I tell you what the movie is, you're going to get real freaking amped.
All right, I'm in. Let's do this.
All right. So I'm going to wake you up from your sleep
Okay.
with a banger of a movie.
Let's do this.
I haven't seen this movie since we were kids.
Like, how old?
Well, it came out in 1988.
Okay, so we were like 11.
Yes.
Okay. Did we
And-
watch it in the movies?
Oh, I don't know if you did. I didn't watch it in the movies, but we had the VHS tape, and this was a very popular movie in my home.
Okay.
I believe my brother was really into this movie.
Okay, so it's a boy movie.
It's kind of a boy movie. I don't remember caring for it very much.
Okay.
And I still don't care for it very much. Like, I'm not that amped to watch it.
Okay,
but-
you really just it
Selling
took
it
a downturn.
myself.
I was
Okay.
excited, and now I'm
All right,
less
no,
excited.
We're amped. We're excited.
Okay.
So this is a fantasy comedy, and it's rated PG. But a lot of people say don't pay attention to that PG rating because it should actually be rated PG-13.
Okay.
Okay, because it's a little sexy.
Oh.
It was directed ultimately by Robert Zemeckis.
Okay.
He's a big-time director guy.
Okay.
And it's loosely based on a 1981 novel.
Okay.
All right.
By the same name or a different name?
I can't tell you what the name is because that would give away
Okay.
what the movie
All right. Keep the
is.
facts coming. Keep it coming.
It was purchased by Walt Disney Pictures.
Okay.
They really like looked at it as they purchased it in 1981, and they looked at it as a perfect opportunity to create a blockbuster film.
All right, let's do this, Disney.
Right. They didn't want Robert Zemeckis to be the director of it because he had recently come off some other flop movies. Like, he wasn't Robert Zemeckis then, so he wasn't like a big time director yet.
Okay.
But ultimately, like, after a lot of changes and a lot of ups and downs, Robert Zemeckis did end up being the director.
Okay.
The movie was very, very, very expensive to make.
Okay.
It originally, they like denied it because of the budget multiple times, but ultimately, you read reports it cost between $30 and $70 million to make, which is hugely
Holy
expensive
moly.
for a movie, and it was the most expensive animated movie ever made.
Oh, it's animated. Okay. I wasn't thinking animated.
But it did really, really, really well in the box office. Overall, it earned $351 million worldwide.
Wow.
And it was the second highest grossing movie of 1988 behind Rain Man.
Okay.
Okay.
I have no idea what this is, but I know this movie.
Yes.
Okay.
It won 3 Oscars for film editing, sound effects, and visual effects.
It's animated, though?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I think I know what this is.
Hold on.
Okay.
Do you know what it is?
I think I do.
Do you want to guess?
Yes.
What?
Who Framed Roger
It
Rabbit?
is.
Oh, no. Okay. Let's do this.
So, it's loosely based on the 1981 novel Who Censored Roger Rabbit by
Okay.
Gary K. Wolfe. It's set in 1947 in an alternate Hollywood history where humans and toons coexist.
Yeah, they do.
So it's animated, but it's also live action.
It is. It is a film noir, right?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
They call it a fantasy comedy, but and then the main character of this movie is Bob Hoskins. Mm-hmm. And he plays a private investigator who kind of has a grudge against the toons.
I don't like them.
Right. What happened during the setup is this movie is like they really had high hopes for it, so they ended up ultimately bringing in Steven Spielberg. They're like, get in here, Spielberg.
They got to tap
him
him
in.
Yeah, because it was different, right? Like they had never done.
Yeah, they'd never really done anything like this
Right.
before. There were no other movies like this. So it was produced by Amblin Entertainment, and that's Steven Spielberg's company that
Okay.
does production company. It went back and forth a bunch of times. Ultimately, Michael Eisner, who is the president of Disney, he revamped everything in 1985, and he's the one that brought Spielberg in. And Spielberg, when he got into it, he was just like, yeah, I'll do it, but I get like a lot of creative control over this. And I also get a whole bunch of the profits from the box office.
You know, come on. This is why he's the GOAT.
Right.
He's like, I'll take the reins, but you want Spielberg.
You're going to pay Spielberg money.
You're going to pay the price.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do the Spielberg thing. But
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Steven Spielberg came in, and he ultimately had a lot of thoughts about who should star in the movie. He wanted Harrison Ford as his first choice.
Well, you know, it's a solid choice.
It is a solid choice.
Yeah.
But Harrison Ford was too expensive, which is interesting since this movie ended up costing so much money anyway.
Yeah.
That they weren't just like, give it to Harrison Ford.
I definitely would have liked it a lot more if Harrison Ford was the main guy. But anyway.
It was offered to Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase was like not interested.
Yeah.
It was offered to Bill Murray.
Okay.
But they said, because Bill Murray, and I meant to look this up, but Bill Murray has an I can't say the word, an idiosyncratic method for receiving offers.
Oh, I know this.
Like, he doesn't have a cell phone or something,
No,
right?
he has a voicemail.
Okay.
Yeah, and people can just call the number.
Right.
And like a lot of people just have this number.
Yeah.
And you just call it and you leave a message and say this is the thing.
Yeah.
And then he either calls you back or he doesn't.
Right. So he missed out on the opportunity because somebody left a voicemail and he was just like, meh, or he didn't listen to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Eddie Murphy was considered, but Eddie Murphy was like, I just don't get it. Like,
Okay.
he didn't really understand how it was going to all work. So
it would have been good with Eddie Murphy.
It would
too.
have been.
Yeah.
And he said he kind of regrets not doing it.
Sure.
Other people considered were Robin Williams, Robert Redford, Jack Nicholson, Sylvester Stallone, Edward James Olmos, Wallace Shawn.
I don't know who that is.
You do. He's inconceivable.
Oh, okay. I know who he is.
Ed Harris and our buddy Charles Grodin.
Oh, Charlie J. The Grode.
Ultimately went to Bob Hoskins. And Steven Spielberg was like, yeah, he's good. He's got a hopeful demeanor, and he looks like he belongs in that like world, that 1947 world.
He does.
And I was just like, well, he was clearly your last choice.
Clearly.
Like,
yeah.
You went through a lot of people.
Right.
For Judge Doom.
Yes.
Okay. That's played by Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
Famously from Back to the Future. He had worked on Back to the Future with Steven Spielberg and Robert Zemeckis, so they knew him. They were, into him. But other people considered were Tim Curry.
Okay.
But they just felt like he was too scary, which I think he's like perfect for it.
He would be, but he is it, and he is pretty scary.
Yeah.
He is scary. Like, I think Christopher Lloyd's pretty scary in this as well.
Christopher Lee was considered.
Okay. John
Cleese, Peter O'Toole, Roddy McDowall, and Sting.
Oh, no, not Sting. Not Sting.
Sting, get out of here. You're not an actor.
Right. Yep, he's not.
Yeah, so the Roger Rabbit himself was originally they thought would be voiced by Paul Reubens.
Oh.
Pee-wee Herman.
Yes.
But it was voiced by Charles Fleischer. And during the filming of the movie, he would stand in as Roger Rabbit because Roger Rabbit's animated and Bob Hoskins is a real man.
That's true. He's a real boy.
Yes. So he would stand in and like do the Roger Rabbit stuff.
It's kind of like the guy who was Gollum, Andy
Serkis. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then like the movie overall was inspired by Walt Disney and Warner Brothers cartoons. So it does have a lot of nods to that in it. One of the things they talk about a lot is that Steven Spielberg had to convince all of these studios to allow their properties to be featured in this movie. Like, I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah, they have a ton of different kinds of cartoons. Like, I think Betty Boop's in there. You got like everybody.
But like Warner Brothers and Disney are together in it. Like Donald Duck is in it, but Daffy Duck is also in it.
Yeah.
So they had to have equal screen time.
Well, you and I have talked a lot in the past about Looney Tunes versus Disney and just, I mean, I know when we were younger, it's like those WB superstars from Looney Tunes were definitely not as high caliber as Disney.
Right.
It's like Disney's Coke.
Yeah.
Looney Tunes is
Pepsi. Sure.
Yeah.
Six Flags.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and there was a lot of like back and forth on this. Like they used different animators to draw Daffy Duck and people were pissed off. It was definitely a whole thing. But they wanted to have a lot more cartoons featured in it. They were unable to acquire the rights to Popeye, Tom and Jerry, Little Lulu, Casper, or the Terrytoons. I don't know who they are.
The Terrytoons.
Yeah.
Is Hanna-Barbera in this?
There's no mention in my research. I don't remember.
Oh man, Hanna-Barbera is like, we'll do it. We'll be in it. They're like, get out of here, Hanna-Barbera.
Get out of here, droopy dog.
Oh, I think they're in it. We'll make sure that Hanna-Barbera is
right. We'll make sure.
We'll make sure of it.
It's too late.
We'll draw it on the screen.
So Roger Rabbit was created, and they gave him a cashew nut shaped head with a swatch of red hair, Goofy's overalls, Porky Pig's bow tie, and Mickey Mouse's gloves, and a Bugs Bunny-like cheeks and ears. So he's an amalgam. That means mix.
Where's the cashew head come from? Who else has a cashew head?
It says Tex Avery, who is like an old-timey person.
I don't know. I never cared for Roger Rabbit, I gotta tell you.
I don't care for it either. I don't
care for the way he speaks. I don't care for...
Please, Eddie.
Yeah. And that guy who does the voice, I feel like he made the rounds a lot. Like, he made a lot. I don't think he was in... he probably voiced other things. I don't know.
He did.
And he used to be on... I think he would be on Howard Stern sometimes.
Oh, really?
He would show up there. Yeah, and do all kinds of voices. But I just feel like that's annoying.
Well, as I told you, this movie did really, really, really well in the box office.
Yep.
America loved it. The world loved it.
The world loved it.
And also, it was critically acclaimed.
Sure. I do think I saw this in the movie theater.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times
Ebert!
gave the film 4 stars out of 4 stars.
Oh, wow. He was impressed.
And he called it sheer enchanted entertainment from the first frame to the last. A joyous, giddy, goofy celebration of the kind of fun you can have with a movie camera. He writes that the opening cartoon is a masterpiece, and I can't remember the last time I laughed so hard in an animated short.
Oh, Ebert was like just so, you got him on a good day.
Delighted by this movie.
Delighted.
Yes. Yeah, so.
And isn't Catherine, who is the voice of?
The voice of Kathleen Turner is the voice of Jessica Rabbit. She's uncredited in this movie for the voice of Jessica Rabbit.
Why?
I don't know, and also Jessica Rabbit sings, and it's not Kathleen Turner singing; it's someone else singing that voice.
Sure.
So, and that's what I think Jessica Rabbit is my main concern about this movie.
Yeah, we watched it with the kids.
Oh, you did?
Several years ago. And you know, she's
sexy.
She's like, yeah, like she's real sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, we're going to see if it's weird.
Yeah. I haven't seen it probably since the 80s.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't care for it, like I said, but I feel like it was on a lot in my house. I feel like my brother was really into it. I think it's always surprising to me that it's a Disney movie. Mm-hmm. Well, it was released ultimately by Touchstone Pictures.
Okay.
Which is a Disney property.
But there's Toontown in Disneyland.
Yes. So Roger Rabbit, the
property is owned by Disney.
Is owned by Disney, and they have a section in Disneyland, Toontown.
They do, and I feel like you see like Jessica Rabbit
and there's a ride. There's a Roger Rabbit ride there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's like a little roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then they have like the Toon houses, but it's like Mickey Mouse's house, Minnie Mouse's house.
Sure.
And then they have like the there's that section too where like you can pick up the fake weight and like break through the jail. It's cute.
It is cute. I think we have pictures of us there. We should share some of those pictures.
Yeah, we'll have to look and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's
You
go watch it.
are not happy.
I mean,
this is the least happy that I've seen you.
I will share. Well, I didn't care for this movie when I was younger, but I do remember it being like a big, huge deal and wanting to go see it in the movie theater. My recollection of it is that the end part scared me.
Okay.
I don't think when I watched it with my kids recently, I don't think I made it to the end, as what happens a lot when I watch movies with my kids. I fall asleep. So the end part scared me. In this movie, there's something called the dip.
Yeah.
Which is a thing that they can get rid of cartoons. The only way to kill a cartoon is by like basically dipping them in like toxic waste.
Well, basically, the dip is made of a solution that would erase animation.
Yes.
So like they like whatever's in it.
Oh, is real.
Oh,
that's funny.
Yeah. So, and then they talk about a little bit, like, a lot of the movie was based on real things. And, one of them, was that Zemeckis compared Judge Doom's invention of the dip to eliminate all tunes to Hitler's final solution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, that's extreme, but true, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a film noir, which, you know, I like a film noir. When I was in college, we had to, as part of the curriculum for my degree, you had to take a course on a specific genre. And they had all different ones that you could choose from. Like horror was one that was real popular. People liked that one. There was like feminist movies or something.
Okay.
And then there was film noir, and I had to take film noir because it was the only one that worked with my schedule.
Okay.
Although I gotta say, not my favorite genre of movie, but I know a lot about film noirs.
Great.
So I will channel that knowledge to talk about in the second half of this show. So look forward to it, guys.
Beautiful. We'll be back soon.
All right.
We're back?
Oh my gosh, you started?
Yeah, I'm just surprising you today.
God, Kim, my God. All right, well, that was a movie. We made it. We made it. First of all, I have to say this. Yeah, why did your little brother like this movie a
It was
lot?
a boy movie.
But why did your little brother like this movie a lot and watch it over and over again?
Jessica Rabbit. He was only like 5 years old.
I don't know. I think this movie spoke to boys.
Well, I also think too, it's the most boy movie we've watched. It's like all about, besides Jessica Rabbit,
Oh,
it's all about like
It's Three
sight gags.
Stooges.
It's the Three Stooges in cartoon human form.
I don't like it. I didn't care for it.
I didn't care for it either. It's not like, ugh, I just, no.
I know. Well, let's just. Can I give an overview of it?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so this movie is about you have it's a mystery. It's a film noir.
All right.
There's a crime. So, it's all set up in the beginning that Jessica Rabbit, who is
Sorry. I was like, don't sneeze on the podcast. Don't sneeze on the podcast.
bless you.
Oh, thanks.
Moving on. So yeah, it's Eddie Valiant, which, a great Dickensian name here, right?
Sure.
He's a down on his luck private eye who's a booze hound.
Booze.
He's just like drinking constantly.
Yeah, he's a drunk because he's sad.
Because he's sad, but the alcohol does nothing to him. Like, he's constantly drinking, but he's also just acting the same throughout. But he's just pounding
Tolerance, Emily.
liquor left and right. So he's a private eye. He gets hired to get photos to see if Roger Rabbit's wife, Jessica Rabbit, is stepping out on him. He doesn't want to take the job because he doesn't like Toons, because you find out Toon killed his brother. So, but he takes the job anyway because he needs the money, and he gets pictures of Jessica Rabbit playing patty cake, literally, with an old man.
With Marvin Acme.
Marvin Acme. Roger Rabbit sees these pictures, gets really upset about it, and then the next day you find out that Marvin Acme is dead. Everyone assumes it's Roger Rabbit, but it's not, of course. You got this other bad guy who is what is he? The chief of police?
Judge Doom.
Judge Doom. I don't know what he is.
Yeah, he's like
it's Christopher Lloyd.
He's the lead police guy over all the weasels.
Yeah. And
But there's there's real cops too.
There's real cops too.
I don't know.
I don't know what his role in all of this is. He's a judge?
Commissioner.
A commissioner.
I don't know.
Okay.
He seems like
He's an elected official though, right?
Yeah, because they said he threw his simoleons around town to win the election.
He bought the election.
Yeah.
So he's an elected official of some sort. Probably a judge. Judges are elected.
Simoleons
is money.
I know, but
Okay.
in the Sims game,
Uh-huh.
they also use simoleons.
Okay.
Because Molian.
Anyway, so yeah, and then it's all about proving that it wasn't Roger Rabbit, and the Eddie Valiant gets sucked into this whole thing, and they eventually prove it, and it turns out that Judge Doom is a self-hating Toon.
A self-hating Toon.
And he wants to knock down Toontown to build a freeway.
Yeah.
It falls apart a little bit for me.
Why?
I don't know. It's silly.
It's 1947. There's no freeways yet. That's a new concept.
I know, but as you said, it was a sick burn on freeways. And I know I'm not explaining this in the best way possible, but the plot is just
loose.
It's loose, but it's like a mystery.
But also you have all like the sight gags and the silly antics and the everything like running throughout.
Yeah, and I have to say, I did like the Easter eggs of it all. Like, if you were paying attention to, the background, it had a lot of little things in there, all the different cartoon characters. Like, that was cool that they had those. I liked that aspect of it. But in general, as a movie, I just didn't care for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It definitely shouldn't be PG.
No.
It's not a children's movie, except that it has cartoons in it.
Well, but it's the that violent type of cartoons was the type of cartoons that we grew up on.
Like Looney Tunes. Yeah.
Yeah, Looney Tunes
Yeah.
and Tom and Jerry and stuff.
Right. And it was, yeah, it's supposed to be like that. But I think it has a lot of adult themes in it. Like by mixing this film noir, which is an adult genre, with tunes, you really are going in these two opposite directions. And there's just a lot of, I mean, like I said before, this guy's drinking left and right.
There's a lot of smoking. Jessica Rabbit is just dripping in sex. Like she's created.
Pornographic.
She is pornographic. Like, yeah.
And I guess that's the gag of it all. And all the men just love her. But it is like, it's a little,
like her boobs hit people in the face and stuff like that. And it's just like very like over the top gaga for her. And she's married to Roger Rabbit. And that's supposed to be funny because he's a rabbit. He's a silly rabbit.
He's a silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. Yeah. And she is just over the top sexy. Like, and there's just there's all kinds of sex jokes in it as well. But yeah, I don't know. It definitely isn't for kids. I don't know who this movie is for. It's for boys.
Yeah, it's for boys. My husband, he was like, "What are you watching today?" And we told him, and he was like, "Oh, that's a great movie."
Yeah.
And I wonder if your husband, did he like this movie?
He was the one who was very much about having the kids watch it. And I remember at the time being like, I don't know that that's
appropriate.
But I didn't remember it in that way. But the minute you start watching, you're like, oh no, this is not appropriate for children.
No, and I do think we had this on VHS tape, and I think that it was a go-to for my brother because I remembered a lot of parts of it. So I'm sure it was just on a lot.
Yeah, I don't know that I saw it all the way through that many times. That ending with Judge Doom is scary.
Yeah.
Like, it's scary.
Well, yeah, he turns into, like, he gets smushed by a steamroller.
And that's crazy.
That's...
because you think he's human at that point.
Well, yes.
I mean, if I was originally watching this movie, you did.
Yeah.
And he's getting crushed by a thing.
Right, but then, and it's also pretty, like, terrible. Like, his hand gets stuck to the thing, and then it rolls over him.
Yeah, and then he's screaming.
Yeah,
He's kicking and screaming like crazy.
But then the steamroller moves on, and then he, like, starts, like, peeling up off the ground.
He's flat.
He's flat Stanley.
And then he blows himself up with air.
Oh, yeah, that's so gross. I hate that.
It's so gross. And his eyeballs pop out, and you see his tune eyes.
He has tune eyes, yes.
I don't like it. I didn't care for it at all. But it was, like, I definitely just felt throughout, it was definitely this boy movie. The Jessica Rabbit, it's funny. So, you know how they always say, well, Barbie has these unattainable proportions. It's like, Barbie is so realistic compared to Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah.
Like, it is over the top. Like, she's just all boob, no waist.
Right.
Her feet are just like little points because her heels are so high. Like, she's just like, just the way she moves is just this thing. And you're like, well, this is what boys want.
It's funny to me that they do still have this movie in like Disney and stuff like that. Like that they even made a ride in the first place, that someone was like, oh, this is appropriate for a kid's theme park.
Well, as you said before, it was a hugely successful, popular movie.
Huge.
And people, I mean, I'm sure a lot of boys still love this movie.
Right.
And you also see, I mean, girls really like Jessica Rabbit.
They do.
Yeah. Like, there's a person who's trying to, like, look like Jessica Rabbit.
Sure.
Like,
that seems right.
Yeah. But I think if we go
seems
back...
like a tattoo people would have, too.
Oh, 100%. I think if you go back to our original purpose of this podcast, which is how the movies that we watched as kids may have impacted us and the messages in these movies. Like, this is prime in terms of, this was a kids movie that everybody saw.
Everyone.
It was very, very, very popular. And the messages in this are crazy. Like, the messages of, all men really go gaga over this really sexy woman.
Like, they can't even keep themselves together.
Right. They just...
like, their, like, tongues fall out. Literally.
Yes. Like, this is what men want, is this completely unattainable, big giant boob sex cartoon.
Painted hussy, as they called her.
Painted hussy. She's not bad. She's just drawn that way. So that's what men want. There's also the whole, like... there's a part in this when Roger Rabbit first finds out that Jessica Rabbit is cheating on him, and he's like just so upset, and they're like, here, and they give him a glass of booze, and
Right.
they're like, drink this, you'll feel better. And he like drinks it, and he like, you know, shoots all around the room because he's a cartoon. But then he like, once he lands, he's like, oh, I do feel better.
Yeah.
So okay, great. that's just great. Baby Herman is kind of a sight gag thing too. He's the little baby in the movie, and there's that cartoon that kind of starts out the whole thing.
That Roger Ebert loves.
Well, let's talk. We're going to talk about Roger Ebert loving this movie. All right, fucking, you know, gross old man. Just yeah. I judge thee. I judge all who love this movie.
Okay.
But that he turns out to be like, you know, he looks like a cute little baby, but really he's like a wisecracking old, like, you know, hey, tuts, like
Smoking a cigar.
Smoke-
Smoking a cigar.
a stogie.
Right.
But he like, I guess his caretaker woman is this like sexy woman,
Right.
Like, smacks her on the hinder, and
Yeah.
like it's not great. It's not great.
It's not great.
Yeah. So I don't know.
He said, and also that Baby Herman, he says he's a 50-year-old Luss and a 3-year-old Dinky.
Right. Like, who is this movie for?
Yeah.
Who is this movie
Of
for?
$300 million worth of people, apparently. A lot of people.
And like, I remember at the time the big thing was the whole real life and cartoons.
And I think that's kind of interesting. Like, that's the thing to watch, I think, in this movie, if you're watching it for like cinematic purposes.
Yeah, it's
is
visually interesting.
That mix. I mean, and it's not the best cartooning either, and we can talk about that in a second, but like the you know, they do a good job of seaming the real life and the cartoon life together.
Yes, and I can imagine that at the time, and I remember this, people were just blown away by it.
Sure, and rightfully so, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, has there been another movie like that since then?
I mean, every movie's kind of like that because CGI is just integrated into every movie.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, on that level, it's very cool, and I like the look of it.
They talked a lot about when I was doing my research, they talked a lot about how they would have to make like human, like in the human world, there would have to be like cartoon shadows,
Right.
and stuff like that, and how like they would have to really figure that out. And there was a terminology they used, like knock the lamp or something like that, like. And they still use it to this day, like when they're talking about getting things perfected.
Okay.
In animation, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a technological triumph.
Sure.
You know, I'm certain, like you said, I'm sure people study it from that
I'll bet,
place
yes.
of just like, as a movie, yes, very cool. As just the vehicle of it, you know, like the story and the characters and everything else. I mean, it could have been anything, and that was the thing that they chose. And
well, and
I don't know.
but I also think too, it is definitely based on those like old timey cartoons, like we talked about, like the Tom and Jerry's and the Chasing and the Yosemite Sam and the the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, like that constant like back and forth, the constant like chasing and hurting of each other, and you know, beating
Right.
each other over the head, smacking with frying pans, a doing.
yeah,
like
well, I
that
think
kind
that
of
it
thing.
combines an old school kind of animation with an old school type of film genre with the, you know, the detective and everything else. I have to cough. I'm sorry.
Just do it. Just do it. I do it all the time on this podcast. Yeah, get it. Get it. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
This is how I support you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel supported. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't find it entertaining.
No.
And,
I know.
and that's
Like
just what it comes
we were
down
really
to.
just like, okay, let's get this over with. Can we move on now? Are we done with this yet? Like in the first 5 minutes, I was like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over.
I know. And I really thought when we got to the end of it, I thought, well, I'm going to live my whole life and never see that movie again.
No need.
I don't want to.
No.
Like, I'll run away from the screen. If someone turns it on, I'll be like, no, I've seen it enough in my life. It's done. I'm not doing it anymore.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Okay.
Forget Roger Rabbit. We're sorry to anyone listening to this who's like, what? I really love that movie. You don't. Go back and watch
I kept
it.
thinking about that because we'll make a TikTok and we'll put it on there, and like usually, and sometimes we say not nice things in our TikToks,
Sure.
you know, like we talk about, but then inevitably on all those movies, like someone's like, this is the best movie I've ever watched in my whole life. I love this movie.
I know.
And
Do
we're like,
you?
do you?
Like, go back
Have
and
you
watch
watched it recently?
Yeah, you just really maybe have a strange connection with Jessica Rabbit.
Right.
Yeah, which, fine. Like, harmless. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go, get at it.
Right. I mean, do we have anything else to say about it?
I mean, no. Like, there's, we talked about the dip being kind of terrifying. Oh, I want to say this too. You had mentioned in the first part how there was a lot of, I'm sure there was a lot of legal arguments about how they have, you know, they have the Looney Tunes, plus they have Disney, and they have all kinds of other things in there, which is
And they
great.
did have Droopy Dog.
Droopy Dog was in there, but no
But
other
Hanna-Barbera.
no other Hanna-Barbera
No,
was in
no.
there. And like I used to love Hanna-Barbera.
Okay.
Like Yogi Bear and all those other ones. But anyway, yeah, they're not well represented in this movie at all. It's mostly Looney Tunes and Disney.
And they're equal representation. Like
Yeah.
you saw that where they have the dueling pianos. It's Daffy Duck and Donald Duck, and they're on the screen for the same amount of time. And then Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. In that scene, they have to be in the screen at the same amount of time.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about, like, of the OG Disney characters, Donald's my least favorite.
Donald?
Donald. I find him just, like, he's always getting mad.
Yeah.
You're like,
He's sputtery.
He's sputtery. You can't really understand him. And he's just, like, angry. And he really flies off the handle easily.
Well, I've met Donald Duck, and he's pretty okay in person. But I will tell you, his wife, or long-time lady love, Daisy Duck, is a vibe.
Oh, I love Daisy Duck. Don't get me wrong. She's awesome.
She's sassy. She knows she looks good. She's always, you know, just like shaking it. And like, she's a very classy lady. I love her.
I do like Daisy Duck quite a bit. But Donald, I don't really like. However, somehow Daffy Duck managed to be less appealing than Donald. Because he's like a weird insane. Plus he's like, he's always aggrieved by something, and he's always mad at Bugs Bunny, and I mean, I don't really care for Bugs Bunny either, because Bugs Bunny's always being like a little trickster. And it's like, I don't need this shit, okay?
Right. And we understand you quit smoking, but the cigar being replaced with a carrot, it's not working.
It's not working. Is that why he has the carrot?
I
was like, oh, is that like the
the
origin story of Bugs Bunny? Is that
assume.
he quit smoking and now he's just addicted to carrots?
I think it works. It works.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. So I say thumbs down.
Ugh, yeah.
Roger Ebert, you dirty dog.
Yeah.
Like, ish.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people liked it. And I wanted to, part way through, I was like, I should look up if there were any female critics at the time and what they thought of this movie. Because I just feel like it's a male critic thing that they liked.
We'll find that after the fact. But call your brother after this and
I
just
will.
tell him.
I'm going to ask him about what his memories are of it. And
Okay.
what he really thinks.
Okay.
He'll probably watch it again after he hears this.
Tell him not to watch it with his kids.
Yeah, I will. I'll
Okay.
advise against it.
Okay. All right.
All
Well,
right.
good pick, though. We had to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it had to come to the podcast because of Jessica Rabbit alone.
And because it was a big movie at the time. But
Second
we should have
only
watched
to
it.
Rain Man.
Seriously, no one should have let us watch that movie. The end.
All right. We obviously have to get into the Christian Slater of it all.
Oh, I'm ready for it. You know, I have to say, can we just take a second to
Yeah.
talk about Christian Slater?
Sure.
I feel like, love James Spader
Mm-hmm.
and Christian Slater.
Yeah.
I mean, strong pick. He's certainly very handsome. But I have to say, because we've been doing this and we've really been looking at more pictures of Christian Slater than I typically do in
See
my
what
life.
a fine specimen of a
I
man he
mean,
is.
I see why you've kept that collage all these years.
Yep.
He's a handsome gentleman.
Yeah. Well, I will say though, for the connections, it's a little bit more difficult because James Spader not as discerning in choosing movies
No,
as
he's in
Christian
a lot.
Slater. So James Spader's in so many movies.
Yes.
And I feel like I was starting to get a little worried. I was just like, oh, we're just going to connect everything with Christian Slater with either Winona Ryder
Right.
or Interview with the Vampire.
Right.
So, but I'm going to mix it up for this episode.
Let's do it.
We had to go a little deep.
Okay.
However, it's been done.
Great. Good
So,
job.
Christopher Lloyd, Dr. Doom,
Yeah.
Commissioner Doom, Judge Doom.
an elected official in
Yes.
Toontown. Okay.
He was in Back to the Future, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Okay. So he was in the Back to Future with Michael J. Fox.
Okay.
And Michael J. Fox was in the movie Doc Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
Good
great movie. With Woody Harrelson.
Okay.
Well, Woody Harrelson was in Natural Born Killers with Juliette Lewis.
Yes.
Okay. Juliette Lewis was in a show called Killing Hollywood, The Cotton Club Murder, which is an 8-part crime drama starring Juliette Lewis, Rainn Wilson, and Christian Slater. The series is based on the murder of Roy Rodin and was released in May 2021.
Okay. Wow, you did it.
I know.
Was that 5 steps?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. 5.
Man, you're going to be pushing the limits on that little collage you're going to do on Instagram.
Yeah, I know. I like it though. But it's good people. Woody Harrelson, he's in the mix now.
I know. Good
Welcome
job.
to the pod, buddy.
Welcome to the pod,
Yeah.
Woody.
All right, what do you have to say to the people?
What I want to tell the people is that keep following us on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, Facebook, like all the things.
Gosh, guys, you guys are commenting a lot on our YouTube and telling us that we're funny, and we stop our whole lives and just sit there for a minute and read your comments, and we're just like, holy shit, it's finally happening. Someone else besides my best friend thinks I'm funny.
I know.
It makes me
we
so
knew.
happy.
We knew.
We kind of knew.
We knew.
But still,
It
that
feels good.
validation, babe.
I know, it really does. I get it. Like, I get why stand-up comedians do the things they do.
Anyone who ever rolled their eyes at us, fuck you. That's all I have to
We're
say.
funny. You just didn't get it.
That's right.
You didn't
Probably
get
because
it.
you're not smart enough.
That's right.
That's right.
You gotta be smart like us.
So,
It's funny.
and we show you how smart we are every week with our big vocabularies and amazing research.
Right. Yes, we are smart. Yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you for subscribing, for please, if you have subscribed to us, you should go and write a little review of ours and give us, I'm not going to say you have to give us 5 stars, but like you should.
Yeah, like tell us which movie you liked watching. Like our Andy Farmer friend who told us that he found us by watching the Funny Farm movie.
Right. So, yeah. So wherever you're from, just go on there. And we also know people from around the world are listening to this podcast. Like,
Yeah.
I see you, Denmark. I see you, Norway.
Sure.
Like, keep listening, guys. We
Okay.
appreciate it.
Donka Shane.
Let's not, like, turn them off, Kim. Like, let's not
Isn't
make
that
them,
it?
I don't, Kim,
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I also want to tell the people that, you should be confident.
Yeah.
And if you are just a sexy tune,
Yeah.
own it.
Own it.
Get those boobs out there.
Right.
Like, do it.
Sure.
But, like, in front of the kids, maybe cover up a little bit.
Like a shawl.
Like a shawl.
Or something.
Something.
Maybe put on a flat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
I'm
That's
not
right.
saying you should be ashamed of your body because you shouldn't be.
But it shouldn't be all that people care about.
Right.
with
And when you stand up, maybe just watch where your boobs go and they don't hit people in the face.
And it'll be a test to see if people really like you.
Right.
Or they really just like what
Yeah,
you look
you have
like.
a strong personality and a beautiful singing voice, and you love your husband. Let people love you for that. It's not just
Absolutely.
about how you look on the outside, it's how you are on the inside.
Absolutely.
Jessica Rabbit.
We love you, Jessica Rabbit. All right. Bye, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Confidently controversial.